Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Fenella. I'm going to be taking you through your Florida Keys and Key West training this morning. Before we get started, I'm going to show you a quick video that's going to give you a really good overview of everything that you're about to see and we're going to talk about in the Florida Keys. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so I'm going to run through the top 10 facts about the Florida Keys. Hopefully that's given you a really good overview of what we're going to be talking about. It looks simply stunning, doesn't it? Okay, so number one is our overseas highway. So this beautiful picture that you can see at the bottom is a picture of the overseas highway, and it is connected by 42 bridges. So the 42 bridges is how we connect the mainland all the way through the different regions down to Key West. And it is one of the main factors why people want to come and explore the Florida Keys, to get to drive on these spectacular bridges. Number two, so we have a little airport down in Key West. The best way to get to the Florida Keys is to fly into Miami, actually, pick up a rental car, and then drive down through the Keys that way. It's only an hour from Miami to Key Largo, which is our northernmost island. And then if you were to drive the whole thing, it would take about 4 hours. But we always recommend you stop off in the Upper Keys, and between each of the main regions, about 40 to 45 minutes apart. But we do also fly from Key West to twin center destinations such as New York, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, and many others. So there's lots of flexibility in how you put together a Florida Keys itinerary. Number three, we are known as the dive capital of the world in Key Largo. So this is where you'll want to do all of your water sports. We have the third largest Great Barrier Reef here. So you can do your snorkeling, you can get your diving certificate, you can start exploring the shipwreck trail. So the map on the right-hand side where you see all those red flags. We have a lot of shipwrecks in the Florida Keys, great for exploring, but also to go and visit the John Pennekamp State Park. We've got over 600 species of coral to be explored in this area. Really is a wonderful place to get out into the water. We also have the gateway to the Everglades in Key Largo. So the Everglades, of course, are surrounded by lots of kind of swampy backcountry. You can go on a hovercraft and find a crocodile or an alligator if you wish. It is the only place in the world that they coexist. Kayaking around here is great. Cycling, of course, up into the backcountry is wonderful too. Number five, conservation. So conservation is really important to the Florida Keys. Being surrounded by beautiful coral reefs and marine wildlife, we have some amazing animals at in the vicinity that it's very important to us to take care of. So down in Marathon, which is about halfway down through the Keys, we have the Turtle Hospital. And I don't know if you guys joined us earlier in the week, we did a turtle release, a live streaming, which was fantastic. So often turtles get released from the hospital when they're all better. And as a consumer, we can go and witness that if we check out on the notice board. You've also got the Dolphin Research Centre. This is a wonderful place for families to go and interact with the dolphins. It's a rehabilitation centre, but also a retirement home, if you will, for those dolphins that can't be released back to the wild. There's no organised activity, but they are very intelligent creatures, so they thrive off interaction. So if they want to come up and talk to you, that is perfectly allowed. But we also have aquarium encounters in this area also. And this is a great place for the younger generation to come and learn about marine biology and conservation. And then also in the similar vein, we have a lot of volunteerism opportunities as well in the Florida Keys. So there's plenty of areas where you can get involved and in kind of the conversation around conservation within the Florida Keys and Key West. But yeah, protecting our marine wildlife and the Keys in general is really high on our priority list. Number 6, wildlife. So I've spoken to you about our turtles. We have our dolphins. You can often see stingray from the shoreline as well. But down in the lower Keys, this is where you'll find a lot of our wildlife refuges. So the key deer are indigenous to the Keys, which you can see in the bottom left. And these guys roam freely around the area down here. They're only about 2.5 feet tall, so very cute. They also love to swim. So if you're having a picnic, watch out for your sandwiches because they will pop up and nick one if they can. The great white heron as well. We have the great white heron refuge, one of only 2 places in Florida that he can be seen. It's a magnificent bird with large wingspan and they swoop low over the islands here. But as well, we have some really exotic birds also, and the lower Keys are just stunning to go and explore. You don't have a lot of accommodation here. It is purely kind of for getting back to nature, kayaking, great walking between the shallow islands. It's really, really idyllic. Number 7, one human family. So we're down in Key West now. It is our southernmost island, and Key West is like the city of the Keys. So it is only 4 miles long by 2 miles wide, very easy to walk around. You don't need your car. As you see on the map, it's got a very easy grid pattern. There's lovely bike rentals that you can do, trams that you can sit on, and little tours. The main strip is Duval Street, and that is where you'll find all of the bars, clubs, live music. We've got a thriving LGBT community as well. And we're famous for our rainbow crosswalks. But there's so much to see and do in Key West. You never quite know where you're going to end up, and that is part of the charm. The below picture showcases the Mallory Square sunset celebration. So this happens every night without fail. People gather in the square to celebrate the setting of the sun. Huge round of applause goes up, and then everybody melts into their different nightlife activities. It's a fantastic, fantastic place to explore. Number 8 are sunset sailings. So off the bottom of the Key West, fun fact, you are closer to Cuba than you are to Miami. So we do have these fantastic sunsets that turn this beautiful mauve and orange. You can go on a tall ship for some cheese and some wine, or go paddle boarding or charter a private boat. A lot of our resorts all the way throughout the Keys have our beachfront properties. So you will never find large stretches of beaches, but more private alcoves and bays and that sort of thing. But sunset sailings are a must. Fresh seafood. So yes, so being surrounded by such warm water all year round means we attract some spectacular fish. And fishing is a real key part of the way of life in the Keys, and we really encourage everyone to get involved. It's so much fun. You've got the Atlantic side fishing on one hand and then the bay side fishing on the other, which is with flat bottom boats. But depending on how good you are, anything you catch, you can take to the restaurant and they will cook it up for you. So yes, as I said, depending on how good a fisherman you are, you can either eat very well or not very well. But it's a really fun activity. And also stone crab. You will find this on nearly every menu in the Florida Keys and Key West. It's very popular and delicious. So the food is very kind of Caribbean in feel, as is the atmosphere down in the Keys. So lots of fresh fish and seafood. And finally, number 10, Fort Jefferson Dry Tortugas National Park. So if you've got a bit of extra time in the Keys, I would definitely recommend you go visit the Dry Tortugas National Park. This was originally built as a fortress to protect the Florida Keys and Key West. So it's just off the bottom of Key West. Now, it'll either take you 2-hour ferry ride to get there or a 20-minute seaplane, depending on your budget. It is a wonderful place to go and visit. As you can see, it's built straight onto the coral bed. So the walls just disappear into the water. But you can walk around the sea wall, which is kind of flush to the water surface as well. It just feels magical. But it has a fantastic museum there, restaurants as well, and you can do snorkeling and of course other water sport activities. So if you've got a bit extra time, that's a great one to do. We have lots of extra material that I can share with you, online training, virtual fam tours. Do check out our partner booth. A lot of that is downloadable there as well. And if you have any questions, please take my email down or my number, give me a call, and I'd be really happy to help. But if you've got any questions now, I'll literally just stop sharing my screen and then I'll pop back on and we Okay, guys, thank you so much. I hope that was really helpful. Yes, so if anyone's got any questions, keep popping them in the chat box and I am on hand to answer away. So let me have a look and see what we've got coming up. Hang on one second. Okay, so one of the questions we have is, are there any key events or festivals taking place in Key West throughout the year? So yes, there are. We have a huge calendar of events throughout the Keys, but Key West especially, as I said, has got a very unique vibe going on and there's always a quirky festival happening. So the best way is to go on our website and to check the calendar on there. That's the best way to keep up to date. For the type of festivals that you can expect, we have the Ernest Hemingway Lookalike Festival. Now, I had no idea what Ernest Hemingway looked like before I worked for the Florida Keys and Key West, but it is a lot of old men with white hair and white beards, but they all come in their droves to enter the Lookalike Festival. So that's a really good fun one. And of course, there's lots of food stalls and beer and music. So that's a really good one. We have our underwater music festival as well. It is as crazy as it sounds. People make instruments that they can play under the water, and then people are invited to come snorkeling amidst the music, which is really magical. That's a really good fun one to do as well. And then we have Fantasy Fest. It is as crazy and magical as it sounds. So yeah, so as you can tell, we have some really great events. So do check the website. Anytime you've got someone thinking of coming, maybe have a look and see if there's something that might suit them, because it might just tip them over the edge and be the thing that convinces them to come to the Florida Keys. So I hope that answers that one. Let me see what else. Yes, okay, so which area would be the best for families with younger children? Okay, so I think the Florida Keys and Key West are a great place to take children, namely because, as I mentioned, there's so much activities to do throughout the Keys. I definitely say Key West is more for adults, so a great place to take them for a day out, but I wouldn't necessarily stay there too long if you've got younger children. In the Marathon area, this is where you'll really find some quieter resorts. It's a little bit more of an oasis, and there are some fantastic family orientated resorts as well. Isla Bella is a luxury one that just opened up, but also they have a lovely pool area and lots of activities for the kids to do. But then also we've got Hawke's Cay, which is very popular with families. They have the dolphins there, so that obviously it's just amazing for little kids. They also have the kind of the seawater lagoon, so they have their pools as well, but then they have the seawater lagoon separately, which is really fun to go and play around in. So there are some really good, friendly, family-oriented resorts around the Marathon area as well. That's where I'd have a look. Are there any adult-only resorts? Yes, there are plenty of adult-only resorts. I can definitely, off the top of my head, I can't name the one that's niggling at the back here, but let me follow up with you guys. Kate, if you want to pop me an email, I can definitely send you the exact names of the ones you should be looking at for sure. Customers. Oh, good. Some fantastic feedback. We love good feedback. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, so I think that's kind of it for questions. Are there any more coming in? If you're thinking about anything, just pop it in the chat box. What things I didn't mention is, in terms of weather-wise, it is known as an all year round destination. So it averages about 30 degrees, which is fantastic. For us, for our market, it's always really popular for winter sun. So it tends to be very busy from about December through to April. Our hurricane season traditionally runs from about June to November. So that's what you kind of have to think about. But realistically, it's always full. It's very popular with the domestic market as well. So that's what you kind of have to think about. But I think we're going to start wrapping things up. That's 4:00. You guys are probably hopping on to your next session. But thank you so much for joining me, and do reach out anytime. Really happy to chat to you all. Okie dokie. Thank you, guys.